Mike heard gunshots at his daughter's school. A man with a gun pointed it at a pregnant teacher and her students. Mike had one choice: run away and be safe or jump in front of the bullets. His little girl already lost her mom. Now she could lose her dad too. But Mike didn't run away. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The morning started like any other Tuesday at Riverside Elementary School. Mike Foster, a 35-year-old single father, dropped his 7-year-old daughter Emma at her classroom. He kissed her forehead and smiled. "Be good today, sweetheart," Mike said softly. "I will, Daddy." "Love you," Emma replied, her brown eyes sparkling with innocence. Mike worked as a maintenance supervisor at the same school where Emma studied. It was perfect because he could always keep an eye on her. Life had not been easy for Mike. His wife Sarah had died 3 years ago from cancer. Since then, it was just him and Emma against the world. He walked down the hallway, checking the lights and making sure everything was working properly. That's when he saw her. Miss Rachel Thompson, the pregnant third-grade teacher, was struggling with some heavy boxes outside her classroom. "Let me help you with those," Mike offered, rushing over. Rachel smiled gratefully. She was 8 months pregnant and everything was difficult now. "Thank you, Mike. You're always so kind." Mike carried the boxes into her classroom. Rachel was one of the sweetest teachers in the school. Everyone loved her. She was expecting her first baby with her husband, and the whole school was excited for her. "Only 1 more month to go," Rachel said, touching her belly gently. "I can't wait to meet my little one." Mike smiled. "You're going to be an amazing mother." As he walked back to his maintenance room, Mike had no idea that in just a few hours, everything would change forever. It was 11:30 a.m. when the first scream echoed through the hallway. Mike was fixing a broken sink in the boys' bathroom when he heard it. His heart stopped. Every parent's worst nightmare was happening. An active shooter was in the school. The sound of gunshots filled the air. Children were screaming. Teachers were shouting. Chaos erupted everywhere. Mike's first thought was Emma. He ran toward her classroom, his heart pounding in his chest. But as he turned the corner, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A man in dark clothes stood in the hallway, a gun in his hand. He was walking toward Miss Rachel's classroom. Rachel stood frozen in her doorway, her hand protectively over her pregnant belly. Her students were behind her, crying and terrified. The shooter raised his gun, pointing it directly at Rachel. Mike didn't think. He just ran. "And oh!" he shouted, throwing himself between Rachel and the shooter. The first bullet hit Mike in his shoulder. Pain exploded through his body, but he didn't move. He spread his arms wide, making himself a bigger target, protecting Rachel and the children behind her. The second bullet hit his chest. The third bullet grazed his side. Mike fell to his knees, blood spreading across his shirt. But he had bought enough time. Security guards rushed in, and the shooter was tackled to the ground before he could fire again. Rachel knelt beside Mike, tears streaming down her face. "Mike. Oh God, Mike. Stay with me." "Emma?" Mike whispered, his voice weak. "Is Emma safe?" Yes, she's safe. All the children are safe because of you," Rachel sobbed. The last thing Mike saw before darkness took him was Rachel's face, and he thought, "At least I saved them. At least they're safe." The hospital waiting room was filled with teachers, parents, and students. Everyone was praying for Mike Foster, the man who had become a hero in minutes. Emma sat in the corner, her small body shaking with sobs. Mrs. Peterson, the school principal, held her close. "Is my daddy going to die?" Emma whispered, her voice breaking. "Your daddy is the strongest man I know," Mrs. Peterson said, though tears filled her own eyes. "He's fighting right now, sweetheart." The surgery took 6 hours. The doctors worked frantically to save Mike's life. The bullets had done serious damage. One had missed his heart by inches. Another had shattered his shoulder bone. The third had caused internal bleeding. Everyone waited. Everyone prayed. Rachel sat with Emma, holding the little girl's hand. Her husband Tom sat beside her, his arm around his wife's shoulders. "He saved our baby," Rachel whispered, touching her belly. "He saved all those children. He saved me." Tom nodded, his own eyes wet with tears. "He's a true hero." Finally, at 8 p.m. the surgeon came out. Everyone stood up, holding their breath. "He made it through the surgery," the doctor said. "But the next 24 hours are critical. He lost a lot of blood. His body is weak. We need to wait and see if he can fight through this." Emma burst into tears. Mrs. Peterson held her tight as the little girl cried, "I need my daddy. I can't lose him too. I already lost Mommy." Rachel's heart broke hearing those words. She made a silent promise right then and there. If Mike survived, she would make sure he and Emma never felt alone again. That night was the longest night of Mike's life, though he barely remembered it. He drifted in and out of consciousness, trapped between life and death. In his fever dreams he saw Sarah, his late wife. She was smiling at him, her beautiful face glowing with light. "Sarah," Mike whispered. "I miss you so much." "I know, my love," Sarah said softly. "But it's not your time yet. Emma needs you. You have to go back." "I'm so tired," Mike said. "I'm so tired of fighting alone." Sarah reached out and touched his face gently. "You're not alone. You've never been alone. Look at all the love surrounding you. Look at what you did today. You saved so many lives, Mike. That little baby Rachel is carrying, those innocent children, Rachel herself. You're a hero. But Emma needs her hero to come home." "What if I can't make it?" Mike asked, fear in his voice. "You're stronger than you know," Sarah said. "Remember why you fight. Remember why you wake up every morning. It's all for her. Our little Emma. She needs you, Mike. So fight. Fight with everything you have." When Mike opened his eyes, he was back in the hospital room. Machines beeped around him. Pain filled every inch of his body. But he was alive. And sitting beside his bed, her small hand holding his, was Emma. She had fallen asleep in the chair, her tear-stained face resting near his arm. Mike's eyes filled with tears. He squeezed Emma's hand gently, and even in sleep she squeezed back. "I'll fight," Mike whispered. "For you, baby girl. I'll always fight for you." The next morning, something incredible happened that shocked everyone in the hospital. When Mike woke up, he found his room filled with flowers, balloons, and cards. But that wasn't what shocked him. What shocked him was the crowd of people outside his room. Nurse Jennifer came in with a huge smile. "Mike, you're not going to believe this. There are over 200 people downstairs wanting to see you. Teachers, students, parents, even people from the community who heard your story. The news has been covering what you did. You're being called a hero across the entire country." Mike was confused. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Jennifer said firmly. "You did what very few people would have the courage to do. You put yourself between danger and innocent people. You were willing to die for them." Then Emma ran into the room. Behind her was Rachel, walking slowly because of her pregnancy. And behind Rachel were 20 children, all from her third-grade class. "Mr. Mike," the children shouted. They were holding a huge banner that said, "Thank you for saving us, our hero." Emma climbed carefully onto Mike's bed, hugging him gently. "Daddy, everyone is saying you're a hero. I always knew you were a hero, but now everyone else knows too." Mike's eyes filled with tears as he looked at all those young faces. Those children were alive because of what he had done. Rachel was alive. Her unborn baby was alive. Rachel stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "Mike, I don't know how to thank you. You saved my life. You saved my baby's life. You saved all these children. Because of you, they get to go home to their families. Because of you, I get to hold my baby when she's born next month." Tom, Rachel's husband, stepped forward and shook Mike's hand. "I will never forget what you did. You gave my wife and child a future. You're a true hero, Mike." But the shock didn't end there. Mrs. Peterson, the principal, came in with several official-looking people. "Mike, I want you to meet some people. This is Mayor Harrison, this is Superintendent Davis, and this is Chief of Police Morgan." Mike was overwhelmed. "I don't understand." The mayor stepped forward. "Mike Foster, what you did yesterday was extraordinary. You showed courage that most people never find in their entire lives. The city wants to honor you. We're giving you the Medal of Valor, the highest civilian honor we can give. But that's not all." The superintendent spoke next. "Mike, your job at the school is secure for as long as you want it. And we're also offering you a full scholarship fund for Emma's education. From now until she graduates college, everything will be paid for." Mike couldn't believe what he was hearing. I don't know what to say." Chief Morgan smiled. "There's more, Mike. The community has started a fundraiser for you and Emma. In just one night, people have donated over $200,000. They want to make sure you and your daughter are taken care of while you recover." Mike started crying. He had been struggling financially for so long, working 2 jobs sometimes just to make ends meet. And now, because of one moment of courage, his and Emma's lives were completely changed. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Over the next few weeks, as Mike recovered in the hospital, the support kept coming. Local restaurants brought food every day. Volunteers cleaned Mike and Emma's house. A construction company offered to renovate their home for free. A car dealership gave Mike a new, safe vehicle. Stores donated clothes and toys for Emma. But more than the material gifts, it was the love that overwhelmed Mike. Every single day, children from the school came to visit. They brought drawings, letters, and handmade cards. Each one thanked Mike for saving them. Each one called him their hero. One little boy named Timothy, who had been in Rachel's class, came with his parents. "Mr. Mike," Timothy said shyly, "I was so scared that day. But then I saw you. You were so brave. When I grow up, I want to be just like you." Mike hugged Timothy gently. "You know what real bravery is, Timothy? It's being kind every day. It's standing up for people who need help. It's loving others even when it's hard. You can be a hero too just by being a good person." Rachel visited every day. She and Mike became close friends during his recovery. She told him stories about her students, about her excitement for her baby, about how grateful she was to be alive. "Mike," Rachel said one day, "Tom and I have been talking. When our baby is born, we want you and Emma to be her godparents. We want our daughter to grow up knowing the man who saved her life before she was even born." Mike was deeply touched. "Rachel, I would be honored." When Rachel's baby was born a month later, she named her daughter Grace. "Because it was by God's grace that we're all alive," Rachel explained. "And because Mike showed us what grace really means, giving everything for others without expecting anything in return." During Mike's recovery, he learned more about the shooter. The man's name was Derek Collins, and he had a tragic story. Derek had lost his job 6 months before. Then his wife left him and took their children. He fell into depression and started drinking. On that terrible day, he had decided to hurt others because he was hurting. When Mike heard this story, everyone expected him to be angry. But Mike surprised everyone with his response. "I'm not angry at Derek," Mike said quietly. "I'm sad for him. Hurt people hurt people. What he did was absolutely wrong and he needs to face justice. But I also think he needed help that he never got. Maybe if someone had reached out to him when he was suffering, none of this would have happened." Mike's compassion shocked the media. One reporter asked him, "How can you have sympathy for the man who almost killed you?" Mike thought carefully before answering. "Because I know what it's like to suffer. When my wife died, I was in a dark place too. But I had Emma. I had a reason to keep going. Derek lost his reasons and no one was there to help him find new ones. I'm not excusing what he did. I'm just saying that maybe we all need to pay more attention to people who are hurting. Maybe we need to reach out before tragedy happens." His words went viral. People across the country started talking about mental health, about community, about taking care of each other. Mike had started a conversation that went far beyond that one terrible day. After 8 weeks in the hospital, Mike finally went home. But when he and Emma pulled up to their house, they got another huge shock. Their street was lined with people. Teachers, students, neighbors, strangers. Everyone was clapping and holding signs that said, "Welcome home, Hero Mike." But the biggest shock was their house. The construction company hadn't just done small repairs. They had completely renovated it. The old leaky roof was new. The broken windows were replaced. The cracked walls were fixed and freshly painted. Inside there was new furniture, a new kitchen, new appliances. Emma's room had been turned into a princess paradise, with a new bed, toys, and a study desk. Mike stood in his home, tears streaming down his face. "I can't believe this," he whispered. Mrs. Peterson smiled. "Mike, you gave everything for this community. Now the community wants to give back to you." But there was one more surprise. In the backyard there was a beautiful new garden. And in the center of the garden was a bench with a plaque. It read, "Sarah's Garden. In memory of Sarah Foster. Her love lives on through Mike and Emma." Mike broke down crying. Emma hugged him tight, and together they sat on the bench, remembering Sarah and feeling grateful for the overwhelming love surrounding them. As months passed, Mike's story continued to inspire people. A scholarship fund was created in Mike's name for children who had lost parents. It helped dozens of kids get the education they deserved. Schools across the country started teaching the Mike Foster lesson, a program about courage, sacrifice, and community. Children learned that being a hero doesn't mean being perfect. It means doing the right thing even when it's scary. Mike was invited to speak at events. At first he was nervous, but when he saw how his story touched people, he found his voice. "I'm not special," Mike would tell audiences. "I'm just a dad who loves his daughter and wanted to protect innocent people. Every single one of you has that same courage inside you. You just need to choose love over fear, action over inaction, sacrifice over selfishness." Young people started a movement called Be Like Mike. They performed random acts of kindness in their communities. They stood up against bullying. They helped people in need. Mike's one moment of courage had created a wave of goodness. Rachel became Mike's best friend. Their families spent holidays together. Grace and Emma became like sisters. Tom helped Mike coach Emma's soccer team. "You know what I think?" Rachel said one day. "I think Sarah sent you to save us that day. I think she knew we would become your family when you needed one most." Mike smiled. "I think you're right." One night, a year after the shooting, Emma couldn't sleep. She came to Mike's room and climbed into his bed, just like she used to do when she was smaller. "Daddy, can I ask you something?" Emma whispered. "Anything, sweetheart." "That day at school, were you scared?" Mike was quiet for a moment. "Yes, baby. I was terrified." "Then why did you do it? Why did you run toward the danger?" Mike pulled Emma close. "Do you remember what I told you about Mommy? About how she fought cancer for 2 years?" Emma nodded. "Mommy was scared too. But she fought anyway because she wanted to spend as much time with us as possible. She taught me that love is stronger than fear. When I saw Miss Rachel and those children in danger, I thought about you. I thought about how much I love you and how those kids' parents love them just as much. I couldn't let them lose their babies. I just couldn't." "But you could have died," Emma said, tears in her eyes. "And then I would have been all alone." Mike's heart broke. "Oh, Emma. That's exactly why I had to do it. Because I know what it feels like to love someone so much that you can't imagine life without them. I couldn't let other kids feel that pain if I could stop it." Emma hugged her father tight. "I'm so proud of you, Daddy. And I think Mommy is proud of you too." "I think so too, sweetheart." When Derek Collins went to trial, Mike did something that shocked everyone again. He attended the trial, and when given the chance to make a victim impact statement, he did something unexpected. "Your Honor," Mike began, "what Derek did was terrible. It traumatized children, teachers, and families. It nearly killed me and could have killed many others. He deserves to be held accountable for his actions." Everyone nodded. This was expected. "But," Mike continued, "I also want to say something else. Derek is a human being who was suffering. He made the worst choice possible, but he made it from a place of pain. I've thought a lot about this over the past year. And I've realized that if we want to prevent future tragedies, we need to do more than just punish people after they do terrible things. We need to help people before they reach that breaking point." Mike looked directly at Derek, who was crying. "Derek, what you did almost destroyed my life and so many others. But I forgive you. Not because what you did was okay. It wasn't. But because holding on to anger and hatred would only create more pain. I hope that during your time in prison, you get the help you need. I hope you find peace. And I hope that someday, you can use your story to help others who are suffering." The courtroom was silent. Even the judge had tears in his eyes. Derek was sentenced to life in prison. But he was also put into mental health treatment programs. And years later, Derek would write a book about his experience, donating all proceeds to mental health charities. Mike's forgiveness had given Derek a chance at redemption. 2 years after the shooting, something beautiful happened in Mike's life. Emma's teacher, Miss Jennifer Walsh, had been quietly in love with Mike for a while. She had seen his strength, his kindness, his dedication to Emma. But she never said anything because she didn't want to complicate his life. One day she was helping Emma with an after-school project. Emma looked up at her and said, "Miss Walsh, do you like my daddy?" Jennifer's face turned red. "Of course I do, sweetie. Your dad is a wonderful man." "No, I mean, do you like him?" Emma asked with a knowing smile. Jennifer didn't know what to say. Emma continued, "Because I think he likes you too. He always talks about how nice you are. And sometimes when he picks me up from class, he gets all nervous around you." Jennifer laughed. "Emma, I think you're imagining things." But Emma was right. Mike did like Jennifer. He just hadn't had the courage to tell her. Emma decided to take matters into her own hands. She invited Jennifer to dinner at their house, telling her it was for a parent-teacher conference. She told Mike that Jennifer was coming over to discuss her grades. When Jennifer arrived and realized what was happening, she and Mike both laughed at Emma's matchmaking scheme. "I'm sorry," Mike said, embarrassed. "Emma has this crazy idea that you and I should go on a date?" Jennifer finished, smiling. Mike's eyes widened. "Well, I mean, if you wanted to, I would love to take you to dinner sometime. But I completely understand if—" "I would love that," Jennifer interrupted, her smile growing wider. Emma pumped her fist in victory. Yes. Operation Get Daddy a Girlfriend worked. Over the next year, Mike and Jennifer fell in love. Emma adored Jennifer, and Jennifer loved Emma like her own daughter. When Mike proposed to Jennifer in front of the whole school, Emma was the one holding the ring. The entire school cheered as Jennifer said yes. At their wedding, Rachel was the maid of honor. Emma was the flower girl along with little Grace. Tom was the best man. As Mike danced with Jennifer at their reception, Emma sat with Rachel and Grace watching happily. "Are you sad, Emma?" Rachel asked gently. "About your dad marrying someone who isn't your mom?" Emma thought about it carefully. "A little bit," she admitted. "I'll always miss Mommy. But I think Mommy would be happy. She wouldn't want Daddy to be alone. And Miss Walsh. I mean Jennifer, she's really nice. She makes Daddy smile again. Real smiles like he used to have before Mommy got sick." Rachel hugged Emma. "You're a very wise little girl, you know that?" Emma smiled. "Daddy says I'm smart because I have Mommy's brain and his heart." 5 years after the shooting, Riverside Elementary held a special ceremony. They were dedicating a new library, built with donations from the community. The library was named the Mike Foster Library of Courage and Hope. At the dedication ceremony, Mike stood with his family, Emma, now 12 years old and growing into a beautiful young woman, Jennifer, his wife and partner, and their new baby son who they had named Daniel after Mike's father. Rachel stood with her family too, Tom and Grace, now 5 years old and starting kindergarten. Many of the children who had been in Rachel's third-grade class that terrible day were there too. They were now in middle school, but they had never forgotten what Mike did for them. Timothy, the boy who had told Mike he wanted to grow up to be like him, spoke at the ceremony. "Mr. Mike saved my life when I was 8 years old," Timothy said, his voice strong and clear. "But that's not the only thing he did. He showed me what a real hero looks like. A real hero isn't someone with superpowers or special abilities. A real hero is someone who chooses to love people more than they love their own safety. A real hero is someone who stands up when others run away. Mr. Mike, thank you for being my hero. Thank you for teaching me how to live." There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. When Mike spoke, he was humble as always. "I didn't do anything special," he began. But Emma shouted from the audience, "Yes, you did, Dad." Everyone laughed. Mike smiled. "Okay, maybe I did something a little special. But here's what I want you all to understand. That day I made a choice. I chose to act instead of freeze. I chose to protect instead of run. But every single day each of you makes choices too. You choose kindness or cruelty. You choose courage or fear. You choose love or indifference. Every choice matters. Every action has a ripple effect." He gestured to the crowd. "Look at all of you here today. Look at this beautiful library. Look at the programs we've started. Look at how our community has grown stronger. All of this came from one moment. Imagine what could happen if each of you had one moment of courage. Imagine the change you could create." The audience stood and applauded for a long time. That night after the ceremony, Emma gave Mike a letter. "Don't read it now," she said. "Read it later when you're alone." After everyone was asleep, Mike sat in his home office and opened Emma's letter. As he read, tears streamed down his face. The letter read, "Dear Dad, I'm writing this letter because I don't think I've ever told you properly what you mean to me. When Mom died, I thought my whole world ended. I was only 4 years old and I didn't understand why she couldn't come home. Why she couldn't hug me anymore. Why I would never hear her laugh again. But you were there. You were always there. Even though I know you were hurting too, you never let me see it. You smiled for me. You played with me. You read me bedtime stories and checked for monsters under my bed and made my breakfast every morning. Then that terrible day happened at school. I was so scared, Dad. I heard the gunshots and I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to leave you all alone. When I found out what you did, how you stepped in front of bullets to save Miss Rachel and those kids, I was scared again. I was scared of losing you like I lost Mom. But you know what else I felt? I felt proud. So incredibly proud. You taught me something that day, Dad. You taught me that love is the most powerful force in the world. You taught me that protecting others is worth any risk. You taught me what it means to be a good person. Now I'm 12 years old and I see how you live every single day. You're kind to everyone. You help people who need it. You never complain even when things are hard. You love Jennifer and baby Daniel so much. And you still love Mom too. I know you do, and that's okay. There's always room for more love. I want to be just like you when I grow up. I want to be someone who makes the world better. Someone who stands up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Someone who chooses love even when it's hard. Thank you for being the best dad in the whole world. Thank you for saving those people. Thank you for showing me how to live. I love you forever and always, Emma. P.S. Mom would be so proud of you. I know she is, wherever she is." Mike held the letter to his chest and cried. These were good tears, tears of gratitude, of love, of overwhelming emotion. He had faced death. He had endured pain. He had struggled and fought and suffered. But in that moment, holding his daughter's letter, he knew it had all been worth it. Years continued to pass. Emma grew up and became a teacher, inspired by Miss Rachel and her father's sacrifice. She taught at Riverside Elementary in the very library named after her father. Grace also became a teacher, following in her mother's footsteps. She and Emma taught side by side, best friends who had been bonded by tragedy and turned it into purpose. Mike retired from his maintenance job but never stopped being involved in the community. He started a program that trained people in emergency response. He spoke at schools about courage and kindness. He mentored young fathers who were struggling. The shooting that could have destroyed lives instead became a catalyst for incredible change. Mental health services expanded in the community. Schools implemented better safety measures and support systems. People looked out for each other more carefully. Derek Collins, the shooter, completed multiple therapy programs in prison. He became a counselor for other inmates, helping them deal with their pain in healthy ways. He wrote letters to Mike every year on the anniversary of the shooting, thanking him for his forgiveness and updating him on the positive work he was doing. Mike wrote back every time. "Redemption is always possible," he would tell people. "No one is beyond hope." On the 10th anniversary of the shooting, a documentary was made about Mike's story. It was called The Shield of Love. It told not just about that one day but about everything that came after. The healing, the community, the ripple effects of one man's courage. The documentary ended with Mike, now in his late 40s, sitting in Sarah's garden with his family. Emma was there with her own husband and baby. Jennifer sat beside Mike, their son Daniel now a young man in college. Rachel and Tom visited with Grace, who was engaged to be married. "Do you ever regret it?" the filmmaker asked Mike. "Do you ever wish you had chosen differently that day?" Mike looked at all the people around him, the family he had saved, the family he had built, the community he had helped heal. He looked at his daughter, who had grown into an amazing woman. He looked at the sunset casting golden light over everything. "Not for a single second," Mike said firmly. "I would do it again 1,000 times. Because love is always worth fighting for. People are always worth protecting. And choosing courage, even when you're terrified, is always the right choice." The documentary ended with images of all the children Mike had saved, now grown up and living their lives. Graduates, parents, teachers, doctors, artists, builders. All alive because one man chose to be a shield. Late one night, many years later, Mike sat on the bench in Sarah's garden. He was now an old man, his hair gray, his body bearing the scars of that long-ago day. Emma, now a grandmother herself, sat beside him. "What are you thinking about, Dad?" Mike smiled. "I'm thinking about that morning. The morning after the shooting when I woke up and everyone was there. When I realized that my life had changed forever. When I saw how one moment of courage had created all of this." He gestured around at his life, his family, everything they had built. "Do you know what the real miracle was?" Mike continued. "It wasn't that I survived. It wasn't even that I saved those people. The real miracle was the love. The love that made me run toward danger instead of away from it. The love that helped me heal. The love that built this family and this community. Love was always the miracle." Emma hugged her father. "You gave us all that miracle, Dad. You showed us how to love without fear." Mike shook his head. "No, sweetheart. Your mother showed me that. When she fought cancer with grace and courage, she taught me that love makes us brave. I just passed along the lesson." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out. "I'm proud of you, Emma," Mike said softly. "You've become everything your mother and I dreamed you would be. You're kind, brave, compassionate, and strong. You've made a difference in so many lives." Emma smiled through tears. "I learned from the best." As they sat together in the garden, Mike felt complete. His life had been filled with tragedy and triumph, pain and joy, loss and love. He had faced death and chosen life. He had endured darkness and created light. And through it all, he had learned the most important lesson. That one person, one moment, one choice can change everything. That courage isn't the absence of fear but the choice to act despite it. That love is stronger than hate, hope is more powerful than despair, and sacrifice can create miracles. Mike Foster had taken 3 bullets to protect a pregnant teacher and her students. What happened the morning after had shocked everyone. An outpouring of love and support that transformed not just his life, but an entire community. But the real story wasn't about the bullets or the heroism. It was about a single father who chose love every single day. Who showed his daughter and everyone around him that being a hero isn't about grand gestures. It's about small choices made with great love. And in the end, that love echoed through generations, creating ripples that would never stop spreading. Because love, true love, never ends. It just grows and grows, touching more hearts, changing more lives, creating more miracles. And that is the real shock. That is the real wonder. That is the power of a father's love. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15 verse 13.